Right, should we do this?
Let's roll.
Okay, what's up everyone? Welcome to the North Leeds Jitz podcast. Today in the show, back in the academy. I can't say how nice it is to actually do a podcast.
Isn't it nice? We've been doing them all like virtually. And,
yeah, I've seen it. I've watched.
You have. You're an avid
fan.
That's nice. Yeah, it's so much easier and just nicer to do it in person.
Yeah, it's great.
And we're joined by another member and good friend Nick Butterfield. He's got
Team.
you're a member.
I'm a member.
Both your sons are members.
Both my boys working on the wife. She can, she's trying to get
just a matter of time. Mate.
Yeah, I know. That's what she said. You guys get settled.
It's the slow burn.
And then I'll come and I'll just like
tap you out.
Yeah, I'll dominate.
Yeah. It's like you guys need to get good.
Exactly.
It wouldn't be fair if I come in right now.
No, true. Very true.
Laying down the law.
She's a mother of 2 boys. Come on.
Yeah. There's no fighting that. Okay, I think we're all sounding all right. Well, Nick, you're an opera singer.
I'm an opera singer,
I think we should just go straight into that because I think it'll be really interesting. Tell me about growing up. Where you from, man?
So I'm local. I'm from Harrogate. And as much as I tried throughout post-school uni career, tried to break away from the north. Went to university in Manchester, Royal Northern College of Music, and then I went down to London for a few years to work. But like the pull of the north just kept me coming. Made me want to come back, and I have been employed by Opera North in Leeds since, and very specifically December the 4th, 2006. Wow. So I've been
That's
there
a long time, eh?
15 years, nearly.
Wow.
Come this December. So yeah, I'm local. Yeah, grew up in Harrogate, and yeah.
Was it always? Were your parents kind of into music? What was the?
No, not in the slightest. I was really fortunate when I was 7. Went to a new school, and the head of the music department from the senior school came down, and he did choir auditions. And 7 years old, new school, literally first sort of week of term, don't know what's really going on. And we just went and sang for this man, and I was on the end of the line. I quite vividly remember I was on the end of the line, and back in the day, I had white blonde hair, very if you can imagine that.
Nice.
And he just went, Snowball, sing this.
No.
Yeah, and
you won't get away with that now as a teacher.
No, I know.
Princess.
He was quite old school, quite old school, and he just sang for him, and he went, right, you're in.
And sorry to interject. At that point, did you know you could sing?
No, not. I mean,
so your mum and dad weren't saying you've
no,
got a
not
gift.
in the slightest. Mum would take us down to church and whatnot, and we'd sing the hymns and whatnot. But there was no sense of, are you any good? What will my sort of potential be? I was 7 years old. I was riding my bike, playing football,
Cool.
climbing trees. So yeah, that's where it began. And he loved choral music. And he worked in Harrogate, and he ran a choir in Bradford called the Bradford Choristers. There was this massive fallout between Bradford Cathedral and him. I don't know what happened. I was too young to understand. So he set up this kind of renegade choir that can be such a thing. And from school, he would invite people to come over and sing with the guys over there and stuff. And so I from the age of 7, 8, 9. Up to 10, when did I leave? I was 11, I think, or 12. So I had sort of 5 or 6 years singing in choirs at school with him until he left, and also with this group in Bradford. And it was awesome because on top of everything else we did at school, you'd get to go, right, we've got a competition in wherever, you'd go off and you'd get a McDonald's for lunch as a treat, and all that sort of stuff. And we'd go on choir tours. I went to Holland, and then over the summer and stuff, when traditionally in the UK, cathedral choirs, they run sort of term time and do all the big sort of religious festivals and whatnot. And then over the summer, they get guest choral societies or choir groups to come in and do like a week of services at their cathedrals.
Oh, cool.
So I remember I had this awesome time down in Salisbury, and it was then I had my first pint at the age of 10. Which I don't know whether this is like you know,
there's a heavy drinking culture in Coruscant.
Oh, massive,
Really, yeah.
love it. Yeah, not in the kids. No, I tried my first pint at the age of 10. Snuck it from one of the gentlemen of the choir. So yeah, and I had this really awesome, great time. Like just you'd go on, we'd go off to like Rochester down in Kent and stuff, and do these tours and weekends away, and everybody in it did it because they loved doing it. There was no stigma attached to it, and it was pretty.
Were you
great.
were you a sporty kid as well, or was that your thing? Oh,
I was more. Sport came into it when I hit my sort of teens. Cricket and rugby were big at school. Cricket for me specifically, I played youth cricket for Yorkshire, and I kind of had a dream. I was like, if I could have done anything, so I would have loved to have played cricket professionally for Yorkshire at the time. And then I was was that 15 to 17. I played for Yorkshire, but I remember the sort of jump up from that grade cricket to sort of north of England, and then above that to the sort of the higher stand. It was just, even at that age of being sort of 17, it was mega. Right. It was massive. And I remember thinking, we had our England age group captain played for us, and again, you had these cricketers who you just thought, well, they're just exceptional, and to see them then go on and like play for Yorkshire, but actually not get very far and then get dropped after sort of 3 or 4 seasons, you realise how like high the standards are, and you think, and you go, well, you just bow down to anybody who's made it as a pro sportsman. You just hats off, because it is. Yeah, you've got to be exceptional.
I mean, football's the same, right?
Yeah.
We talked about this before on the podcast, I think, because obviously my eldest lad plays a lot of football, and you could be captain of the under-21s at Man City, to break into the first and play for England, and even captain in the under-21s in England, to play for the first team at Man City, it's probably not going to happen. It's probably not going to happen, because you've got to get past Fernandinho and you've got to get past all those players. You're not going to get in. So you end up playing lower level, and people don't see that. I think they get into some kind of sport at school level and will just progress up and then play first team. You probably don't want to happen.
Yes.
Is singing the same? Is there?
Singing, do you know? Interestingly, we sort of equate it to like football league tables, like where you
nice.
are. Like, so you've got like the Mecca Champions League.
That's you.
That's not me. I'm not Champions. I'm like Division 1.
Are you?
Yeah, I'd say.
What, like?
I wouldn't say.
Are you like a Norwich? Are you up and down? Or are you mid-table?
Brentford. I don't know.
That's good.
This is way over my head.
But you do have the same levels. Kind of, you've got these mega, like the Royal Opera House over here is kind of our most prestigious establishment, and we've got the Metropolitan Opera in New York, and then you've got things like the Staatsoper in Vienna and the Berlin Staatsoper, and in Paris there's a couple of really major houses. And to be a principal singer with those at those places, those theatres and establishments, you've got to be you're the top of the game. You know, you're Kevin De Bruyne. You are Roger Gracie. You know.
And what makes you top of your game in singing?
Again, it's like number of components. You've got to have the voice. You've got to be able to utilize your voice and have control over your voice and use it again to the best of your ability. I mean, fundamentally, it's got to be something pleasant to listen to.
Right.
You know, I mean, you can still make a career in these kind of, they call them character roles, and they are generally just you're not the lead, you're not the sort of love interest, you're not the villain, you are a subsidiary character who's just a little bit wacky and a bit crazy, and you can make it because I think dramatically you may be superior, or you have different skill set to the guys at the front, or you look a bit hard. And again, it's very sort of, you know, cinematic or sort of TV like in its castability. So yeah, you can make it to these sort of prestigious levels without being the best singer or having the best voice, but you've got to have another really, really strong facet in your armory.
Was it? I'm not sure if this is right, but was it Maria Callas?
Maria Callas
was kind of considered not fundamentally like a very technically great singer, but then became really big.
Yeah, Maria Callas is again. It's so hard because obviously you've got personal taste when it comes into it, and so someone I love to hear sing might not be the same person as you love to hear. Oh no, I find the voice, it's a bit edgy, or it's not quite like warm enough or like pleasant enough to listen to. But yeah, Maria Callas was just like fully like throated, and ultimately I think one of her major selling points was she was so dramatically committed to everything that she did, and you could watch it and just be like transported in the palm of her hand and just absolutely engaged with what she did, because dramatically she believed everything that she was doing. Her energy wise about how she was performing was never off the gas. And again, that's something you've got to have at all times. If you're, even when you're not singing, if you're dramatically, if you drop the ball and you like zone out and you think, and you come but you're back in the room, it's so noticeable to see on stage as an audience member. You can see people's energy just drop, or just they're coming up to like a really difficult phrase they've got to sing, or there's a tricky dramatic moment, and you can see them sort of go to a semi like cerebral other place and go, they've just zoned out a bit, and then they're sort of back in the room. But no, Maria Callas was like, she's ultimate, one of their all-time kind of greats.
Right.
Definitely. Yeah.
Is there something that kind of separates the really good to that like kind of 1%, or that you can or is it different for different people?
Yes and no. It's kind of both. There's a certain like, everyone talks about like the X factor. People just have it, and there's a non-tangible quality that you just can't measure in sort of plain black and white. And I guess it's an energy, it's a presence, or it's just something about people have who they can connect, and the charisma and the charm. It's that thing. Again, I guess it's about energy and commitment to what you're doing, which draws people in. I think you can't fundamentally define what it is, but there's just that something extra that people have.
What's the word? That's like a Portuguese word that isn't in English. It can't. It's kind of, I think, soul or something like that. It's like, I think it's kind of like what you're saying there, but there's like not really an English word for it, but there's a Portuguese word for it.
There's often not English words for certain things that are slightly more like artistically cerebral.
Not boa.
No, it's like soul, I think it's like that. I'll look it up.
Yeah, no, you get that a lot in kind of like Latin. Something that's really, I don't know, how does that translate that?
Let me.
Or is it?
I'll have a look. Yeah, because it's. I don't want to butcher it, but yeah.
But yeah, something inside you from like the soul and the heart. It's just that really.
Well, that's your job, I suppose, isn't it? It's conveying your energy to others, right? And them to absorb in that, and that making them feel a certain way. Yeah. And you can't pretend to do that. But people would see straight through, I imagine. Yeah. If you're a performer,
you can't just go through the motions.
No, you've got to fundamentally believe who you are, the character, and what you're doing,
and commit.
And great actors do that too, right? Like, it's the same thing. You know, they almost like the character possesses them. There's that kind of method acting thing, right, where they become that person for a while, and like you've got to do that. And some of my favorite actors are those actors that you like look at them and think, well, they are actually
that person. They become that person. Yeah, definitely. We don't go quite that far.
No. You don't walk around like ordering. Can I have a pint of milk, please? You don't do that.
No. Can't be Lady Macbeth and go around like murdering, kings and stuff. No.
What performances do you do then at the Royal Opera House? Are they all the big kind of opera pieces, or do you do more? Do you do Shakespeare? I mean, Shakespeare, there's no singing in it, right?
No, but I mean, a lot of Shakespeare operas have been, Shakespeare plays have been made into opera, composed.
Right, okay.
Yeah, Verdi written Macbeth and Othello and Falstaff.
Oh, wow.
as
Okay. Didn't know
well.
that.
Yeah, so I'm not in the Royal Opera House, by the way.
Sorry.
So
Yeah.
it's okay.
No, you're not
I'll be-
Premier League.
No,
I remember that.
not Premier League, not Champions League. Sorry,
Not Champions League.
Division 1.
Oh, so you would say Royal Opera House is your Champions League? They're like one of the best in the world.
Yeah, they're one of the
And
best in the world.
who's a step below them then? Who are the big operas like? Who perhaps are Premier League?
What in the UK we've only got 4, 5 full-time companies. We've got the Opera House and English National Opera both in London. We've got Welsh National Opera in Cardiff. We've got Opera North in Leeds, and Glyndebourne Festival Opera are down in Sussex, but they are predominantly a festival opera company, so they only run for like the summer season through sort of May through to September, and then they do a tour as well from October through to sort of Christmas. But because of contractually employment laws, most people are employed over, I think, like a 10-month period. So they've had to, everyone down there is now full-time. So they're sort of technically a full-time company. So we've only really got, 5 full-time companies in the UK. And we've got Scottish Opera, which is in Glasgow, which are, they're semi sort of part-time. Premier League.
Well, what's your role at Opera North?
My official title, I'm a member of the chorus, but Opera North is kind of different in the way it operates its employees. And so the chorus is more of an ensemble, and we kind of do everything.
Right.
We'll do the main roles, we'll understudy main roles, we'll do the sort of small and medium-sized roles, and then we'll sort of do the grunt work at the back as well as the chorus, which is it's quite freeing actually, because there are some times when you think, I don't want the added pressure of doing that to 1,500 people every night, and I need to take a step back. There might be personal like home commitments and stuff that you need to just like take a bit of time off for. And so you can take yourself out of having that extra pressure and say, look, I'm just going to do my basic like role at the minute, if that's all right. And generally their company are very good, but they know that they've got a pool of about 35 people to call on and say, right, we need you to do this, we need you to do that. There's this coming up in a year's time, can you prepare that? And so on and so forth. So we work slightly differently to like a Champions League house, where it is fundamentally, you have for every role that comes in, and even if it's like one line, a couple of words, it will be a freelance soloist.
Oh, okay.
Which you think that's got to be a bit of a, financially not the most efficient way of working. And then you've got your chorus, you just do chorus. But they are generally really, really busy. And they do sort of between 18 and 24 productions, like on a sort of just the big hamster wheel of shows, whereas we do between sort of 9 and 12. So it's easy for us to kind of step out and do things, and our time isn't so heavily dominated just by doing that sort of core sort of chorus work. So it's a really engaging sort of position to be in, and you find that you have a natural kind of professional development as well. And so you think, some roles you think they'll be out of your reach because they are like technically, like vocally a bit too, you're problematic, you're not quite up there, or just in terms of an age thing, you're not quite old enough, or you're too old and you're young enough to play them. So again, you have this continually evolving sort of professional development as well, which is really quite beneficial for us.
And how do you continue to develop then your skill set? What kind of things? Obviously, we're in the Jiu-Jitsu Academy, and we talk about Jiu-Jitsu being like a lifelong pursuit in search of kind of, I suppose, mastery, which we're never going to reach.
Yeah.
It's just too broad, it's too deep. But we're just in it. So vocally must be similar, right?
Similar,
can always improve.
Always improve. You can, and there's always something you can improve on. And because again, it's not just about the voice. You've got, you're a dramatic performer. Because me and my wife always go, wouldn't it be brilliant? Oh, we could be TV actors. Because we love that drama side of it just as much as we love the singing side of it. And you think, wouldn't it be, I'd love to go and do a play. I'd love to go and do this. So you kind of, you have to work on that dramatically. And you learn so much by watching and by osmosis and just everyday interactions and just watching more stage work, you obviously learn so much from directors that come in. You can have wonderful directors who come from a completely different background. They might be a really like theatrically based director, but they're moving into this different avenue, and they bring different things from just pure like stage acting. And you think, okay, well, on stage they do this, and you have different techniques you can call upon to engage with sort of the character you're playing. So yeah, it's continually developing, and obviously as well as you age, you sort of get to a point of a vocal peak when you are, you're the sort of, you're in your prime, but then obviously you've got the other side of that, and it's starting to come down the hill.
What age is that then, in vocal terms? Would you say
it's dependent on who you are. Men, it happens a bit later because we've had sort of voice breaks and stuff, and so you generally settle a bit later. And for female ladies, it can happen earlier. So, like, I'm 41. I know I don't look it, but so I'm sort of getting towards like a sort of peak.
Oh, you're not there yet?
Yeah, no.
That's good though, isn't it?
Well, it is good, and you think this is what I think a lot more men sing for longer than ladies do, because they've had to sort of reset from sort of their mid-teens and let their voice settle, and then build up from there. So I mean, we've got a great guy called Rob, he's a Wagnerian baritone, so his voice is massive, like it's colossal, and he's 66, and he's got it. He's epic, like it's monstrous, and he's got the technique. His technique's really solid, but this voice is it's still there, and it's not started to fade or wobble yet. And like he's in his 60s, and so potentially you can go on for as long as you are physically able to, really, without your voice degrading too much.
I find it fascinating thinking about just the voice as you talk about it in terms of technique and power and colossal, and because we've all got one.
Yeah,
we've all got this. It's not like we're all born with a guitar in our hand, you know what I mean, or a piano. Like we've all got a voice. Yeah, I can't use mine. Yeah, and you can use yours, and it's a slightly strange thing to think about. It's an amazing thing, really.
I think.
Are you born with it? Are you born with pitch and tone, or could I now just really commit? And you know what I'm like when I get a dog with a bone, and like aim for some kind of level of singing.
D2.
Yeah.
Do you think you can learn?
Yeah, definitely, to a point. I mean, if you've done any kind of damage to it, though, your chords, if they don't quite vibrate, if there's a groove or anything kind of going on, it will inhibit, obviously, your ability to create a sound.
Right.
So, like, potentially, like your background, military-wise, and also, being strangled for 15 years or however long it is, might have inhibited the way you can manipulate your chords, definitely. But I mean, I'm looking at Tino because he's a bit younger, so he's probably got more potential.
Tell me more.
I'm much closer to my peak.
You are, it's true. But however, I think you've got to look at it a little bit like being an athlete. But if you've not been working it,
right, you
haven't got that muscle memory and that sort of strength and whatnot. It's really, and again, like you said, it's a really curious thing to talk about because it's such a actually tiny bit of anatomy that you have to try and control and manipulate.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Do you cognitively then, throughout day-to-day life, try and look after your voice? Or look after the...
I used to be more, I'd say, precious, like definitely, but as life goes on and as life develops, you become less precious about it. I mean, there will be, you don't go to you don't go out, to an Iron Maiden gig and like scream along with Bruce Dickinson or anything. But and you do obviously like lots of shouting will again like grate your chords a little bit, and so.
Yeah, I'm knackered then.
Yeah.
I've been shouting for far too long.
But like fluids, just keep high. I think hydrate, water, literally, water of life. Hydrate helps everything. Yeah.
Mike,
I'm making a start now.
10 coffees a day.
So, but again, like caffeine has got. What does it do? Hold on. What did I say? It helps open up your vocal folds. Caffeine, I think that's right. Whereas, and then some people will say, actually, no, it can be quite damaging to your voice. So you've got these two schools of thought to stay away from curry and hot foods and stuff, and then stay away from caffeine.
Yeah, he's out there. He's absolutely dreadful.
It's not worth it.
No.
But
The only man in Leeds have a tab at Bengal tandoori.
Oh, really? Not been Bengal.
More tandoori.
More tandoori.
Oh, Bengal brasserie you're talking about.
Bengal brasserie.
I've been to Bengal brasserie. It's very
nice.
good.
That is tangent. Good curry.
I'll tell you who does good curries.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this in case you're listening. The Lal family. Shout out to Sam Lal. If you get friendly with Sam, he brought round some chicken spinach, which was unreal.
Chicken like salad.
Like a really nice kind of hot chicken and spinach dish, which was just unreal.
Delish.
And I'll be honest, like even though I'm 41, like you, and I don't look it, I've not eaten a lot of like home cooked, traditional, authentic Indian food. I've eaten a ton of curries, but not as much as him, but not like the real deal. And it was like amazing.
Yeah,
really good.
Also, shout out to Anya, who went there the other day. That's can confirm. Good.
Have you been there?
Yeah.
So one of our little champion, Anya, she probably won't be listening to this. She should be in bed. But her grandma and family own the new Indian restaurant called Anya on Street Lane. Okay. They used to be Fanoosh. It's like an Indian street food type thing.
Yeah.
Is it good though?
Yeah, very good.
Really?
And also I remember Habib is an avid Indian food cooker who I'm still waiting on him to bring me in a sag paneer. So Habib, waiting on it.
2 sag paneers.
Can I jump in there?
Yeah. 3.
Yeah. In fact, just bring a lot down.
Yeah.
We'll share.
Class work.
Yeah.
I
was going to say something like, to dive into the artistic side of it. And Mike was saying about like there's no instrument in a way that like a guitar or things like that, or in a way a painter uses a paintbrush and different pigments of paint, right? And it's the same for martial arts in a way. Like for me, it's the kind of the rawest and purest form of art and I'm defining that in terms of self-expression, because there's no like you can be born as a baby and then grow up Stone Age man or whatever and do martial arts and fight. And there's no inventions needed to happen for the conflict of and that to happen. And same with singing, right? Because there's no necessarily other thing that you would use. It's all
you were
within.
born with it. Yeah, definitely.
Where does it go with artistically wise? How much kind of you can you put into it?
Again, it depends on your role, I guess, and it depends on who you're playing or who you're trying to sort of connect with. But I mean, I think fundamentally, it's got to be you, embodying whatever character you're playing. And you're not going to obviously to the point of not being a murderer or anything like that. But all of your individuality and your natural instincts about interpreting a character are valid. And even if they are instinctively, you think instinctively, I wouldn't do this, there might be a reason why this character you're playing would do a certain thing. So you've got to, again, work out, is my instinct correct or is my instinct wrong? And then from that point of view, you'll go, okay, so my instinct says yes, but I actually need to do something the opposite. How can I overcome that? And what are my sort of opposite of feelings about how to do that? So yeah, I mean, definitely, it all comes from you, definitely. But again, you've got to draw not only on your individuality, but you've got to draw on your, your life experience with friends and people you've met and so on and so forth. And they all come in and help sort of build these layers about
some of the greatest actors, of course, have had very colourful lives.
Oh, yeah.
You know, addiction and things like that. And that adds to the depth of their kind of personality, right? And the character. And that allows them then to portray characters in a much more meaningful way because they've experienced what real deprivation or anxiety or whatever feels like.
And you really see it actually. And this is like not a criticism of age, but you see young people playing certain characters and you think in terms of life experience about what they're trying to portray, it reads to a certain point.
There's an immaturity around it.
Yeah, and then you see someone who's 10 years older and had more life experience and they've seen more of the world and they've had awful relationships and they've, you know, whatever. And the realism that they can bring to something is, again, it's that non-tangible thing. You can't teach someone something they've not experienced. You can't teach them an emotion they've not had. And again, I mean, it sounds sort of, it comes with age and experience. You don't want to be passionate, I think, but it does come with age and experience.
It goes to that Galileo quote we talked about a few podcasts ago. So he said, you can't teach him anything. You can only help him find it within himself.
Definitely.
You knew a little bit that
Very
guy.
wise.
You knew a little bit. But could he sing?
Probably. He was quite talented. Italy,
Trapped
birth
inside by
opera,
the church.
Probably, you know.
Have you seen an opera before? Have you been to see it live?
I haven't actually. I have watched I think it was at the Berlin Opera. They were performing a Skyrim song, but you know, from the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. It's just, you won't know, don't
I don't know that.
It's a video game.
Yeah.
Well, definitely not.
Yeah. And that was very, very good.
I was lucky enough to go to an opera at Verona.
Oh yeah.
The outdoor one.
Yeah.
That brilliant. And they did it as like in the evening as the sun was coming down, and then it turned into night. It was Carmen. Yeah.
Oh, Carmen. Really?
Really beautiful.
Yeah.
Very, very.
We're doing Carmen.
Are you?
Yeah. It won't be like the Carmen you saw.
No, it was good though.
No.
Well, you're not Premier League, are you?
Not
You're
Premier
like
League.
a Brentford level.
No, we are Premier League, Champions League.
Champions League.
So how competitive is it to break into that industry?
I'd say very actually. I think recently, I'd say it's totally. We're quite oversaturated in terms of people wanting to sing and be performers. Much like I think acting. I think they even just playing instrumentalists. I think there's a lot of people who love it and want to do it. And I think unfortunately for the opera industry, there's just not enough money or jobs to go around for everybody. And it's killer. And especially over the last 18 months, I mean, the amount of people who I have seen who are very established performers who sing internationally, who have had to just I've given it, I can't, it's not sustainable anymore. I've got a new career, and they've dropped it, which it's kind of heartbreaking, but at the same time, like just having to be able to adapt in the last 18 months of what we've all experienced, and to say I've got to give up this thing I love, but I found something new that I probably found within actually the performing arts and helping people and whatnot, and to find a new career is, I think, really astounding and admirable.
And why then do we think that, or why do you think that there is this kind of big boom in performance? I mean, I've got my own kind of thoughts on it, but is there anything that's happened in the last 5-10 years that you think has kind of drawn people into being a bit more?
I don't know. I think people are allowed to be more creative now, perhaps. There's not as much like stigma attached to it, I think, because I always found growing up that the music, like especially at school, the music sport dichotomy.
That's why I asked. Yeah, did you do sport? Because I presumed you'd just be like Mr. Creative.
No, I was really lucky. Like I love playing rugby, I love playing cricket, but I love my music as well. And I was saying to T before, typically we were a teenage band, played loads of Green Day and Pearl Jam. And
me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a band. What was your band called?
We were called we were called Inertia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. My friend, the lead guitarist in the band, He swears blind we were called empathy, but actually we were called inertia. So again, it's so teenage, isn't it?
Mine was called Frugal.
Frugal,
Yeah. That was like the grunge band.
Yeah.
And then I progressed onto like a Dawsey kind of thing called Something Beautiful.
I went a bit earlier.
Did you?
Yeah. No. So yeah, like, I guess I was fundamentally the typical like teenager kid growing up. I played saxophone, loved saxophone. Really good. I was quite a good saxophonist, humbly. But yeah, the sport, drama, music dichotomy was, it was quite tricky to deal with, especially at school. And I think it wasn't until, everybody grew up a little bit, that it was sort of accepted, I think. And I was, I think, lucky enough to not pave the way, but I was good enough at sport. I wasn't as good as I was at cricket, but I was good enough at the rugby side of things and whatnot. And I was good enough performer to make sort of people go, oh, it's all right, Nick does it, it's okay, rather than, oh, you're a,
yes.
Had you ever been bullied at school?
Did I ever get bullied? I don't think so. There was. It's hard to sort of remember, I guess, and actually, what we perceive as being bullying now, I might not have perceived to be bullying when I was sort of 15, 16, 17, but definitely the banter about, what the music boys or the choir boys did was definitely there. So, I mean, probably there was there was verbal, not unpleasantries, but there was a little bit of, niggle, I guess. Yeah. What you'd call it.
The rugby lads, I'm sure, had a few things to say about.
But it was odd because at the same time, I was totally accepted
one of
by
them.
them.
Yeah.
It was a real dichotomy, and even like good friends who were good musicians and good singers who also played sport but weren't quite as at a level that I was. Not that I was brilliant, but they got rougher treatment.
Of course.
So I mean, we were having a band practice, like our inertia, and we were, we got a room at school, and we were just, there was amps and all sorts going on. It was pretty loud and kind of rocky and whatnot. And then you got a few idiot guys from the rugby team coming in and going, oh, what are you doing? Rocking it. And you just think, hold on a minute. We're playing music you love and you listen to, and you're coming in making fun of us for and
they were probably just envious, as most kids are, when they wish they could sing or play the guitar.
And you look back and go, yeah, perhaps, and it was maybe just a little bit of fun or not. But yeah.
But you probably had a wide circle of friends then, right? Like different friends in different, so that's cool.
Very lucky to have that.
Definitely. I mean, we talked about it's a completely, non-educated view on this, but I would have presumed there's more and more people getting into performing arts because it is more mainstream, more accepted, but also there's a sense for younger children now that that's the pathway to fame and stardom, right? Like we've had the X Factor for a decade or more, we've had Pop Idol, we've had all these other things, and it's like going out in front of people and being famous is what you do now, and people are doing it. And I'm not surprised it's more and more mainstream. There's more people coming into your industry. Because I would have thought there'd have been less. I would have thought people would be going more towards TV and film. You just think it's just filling up across the whole creative board?
It's got a drip feed effect about, potentially how can I get a bit of that slice of that pie, but take my industry and my love and push it a little bit more towards the center. I think potentially that is it. Because I mean, again, I think the one thing about the like the X Factor or The Voice, whatever, you can come on and just be yourself and sing, and there isn't you aren't 18 to 25 like pop singer, or you're not an elderly in the groups or whatever. So in a way, media has allowed more of the lesser mainstream artistic forms to come into the centre.
Pol Pot's.
Pol Pot. Oh, Pol Pot. Yeah. I don't know how that happened.
It did. It happened.
It happened.
Do you know what Pol Pot's is? Did he not win? What did he win? The X Factor, was it?
Was it the X Factor?
Oh, I don't know. He's some singer, opera singer guy.
Yeah.
Am I doing an opera a disservice by saying he's an opera singer? He was a singer.
So Pol Pot's, he said he worked for Carphone Warehouse. He's got a music degree. He studied at a conservatoire at the Royal College of Music, and he just played this story of like, I just work in Carphone Warehouse and I sing. And it's like, you've had about 6 years of training, mate.
Right.
You can't. So they as they do, they play out the sob story and like, and he came on and he sang Nessun Dorma, and he might have won. Yeah, he might have.
He did win.
Is kind of like marketing a big, like, and like selling yourself a big part of it, or for individual and group level?
Yeah, Now it is individually, definitely. The whole, again, social media on every level, it has an effect because it reaches, your audience is larger now. Like, even my 74-year-old auntie's on Instagram, and but so your audience is there, and if it's another vehicle to communicate with them, it's all good. I mean, I see it as a good thing for us, definitely to get to a broader audience. Definitely. Like there's a girl singing with us at the minute. Oh, she's on Instagram. Oh, she's got 25,000 followers, and I'm like, how have you got there, sort of thing? Which is, and it goes to show that even someone who isn't relatively, like superstardom, but just she's working internationally. She's got a big reach, which is great. And you sort of go, 25,000 people. That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
You could build a business off the back of that. I mean, that's the real thing now. But I read a book recently called Content Inc. It talks about building an audience before you go to market with a product, which is something I want to do in the future.
Yeah.
And 25,000 followers, you could build a business around that. Because you only got to have like 1,000 good, committed, loyal fans to make a fully grown lifestyle business.
The audience is properly engaged.
No problem.
Yeah.
Well, you see that in kind of the martial arts fighting world as well, right? Like not necessarily always the best fighters are the ones that are getting the top billing.
Yeah.
Because people want to see the big names, but the big names haven't always necessarily been the best fighters.
No.
Like look at Demetrius Johnson, like would win all of his things, but like no one really wanted to see him. But someone like Jorge Masvidal or something that's kind of got like that kind of charisma and style about him, but would kind of lose fights every now and again. People would back out.
They do. I think the real fans, like the educated, really do value the best.
Yeah.
But it's the kind of the wider audience, right?
Yeah.
But again, if you're just trying to sell stuff, like Conor McGregor, man.
Yeah.
Just selling fights. You're just selling a fight. That's what it is.
I wanted to ask you a bit earlier, but we kind of slipped away.
Oh yeah.
When you were saying, with the life experiences and how you kind of grow into it, can you look back at operas you've done and be like, like every 5 years or so, and be like, I changed quite differently between like these two times, or
just what, like, in terms of you as a performer, and
you growing and getting back, and you're like, look, at 10 years ago was way different than 5 years ago.
Absolutely, you can see your growth, definitely. And I think the great thing is as well about, I think I said to you really early on when I sort of just joined up about the opera community is, I think, quite similar in a way to the jiu-jitsu community, but we are generally really quite supportive of each other. It's not like that at university. It's quite cutthroat, and like a conservatoire, it's like you've got to get up the run of the ladder. But once you're in the business and trying to make a career out of it, then people are much more supportive. And you will get people who said, I came to see you in this and it was great, but I saw you do this like 3 years later and I thought, it was, it's still fantastic, but I like either your like dramatically you were better, or it was just different, you had more elements to your performance, or like, oh, I can really like hear how your voice has grown and you've got more control over it and stuff. So yeah, you can definitely see like where you used to be to where you are. Like, but again, you can only realistically in hindsight go, oh yeah, I can see how far I've come, like from 2012, 2018 or whatever. You know, you've got these, we did such and such operas or perform or musicals or whatever we did, and you think, yeah, I definitely feel like I've grown. And again, like I said, you've got a supportive community to say, yeah, definitely, we love what you've done and how you've progressed. And also with our sort of support, our music staff and the people in charge of casting and planning will give you feedback and say, we didn't think you were quite up to it here, but we've noticed how you've grown and come on. So yeah, definitely, you can definitely see that. Quite a long-winded, yes.
No,
I was going to hard cut to something else, but if you want to stay on that, is that right?
So was I. So you go first.
Well, I'm going to hard cut straight back to jiu-jitsu and just kind of ask you, like, why are you in here? Like, what happened? Tell us the story about how you discovered jiu-jitsu.
Oh gosh. Well, I was aware of jiu-jitsu when I was quite heavily into CrossFit before my eldest son Sam was born, and so I'm a very good friend of yours, Khalil.
Yes.
Yeah, and he'd had a sort of sabbatical away from jiu-jitsu and went to
Correct.
CrossFit for a bit.
Yep.
And I noticed sort of his attendance had dropped off, where he'd, I think, gone back to jiu-jitsu, and like he just
He was in my garage at the time, I think.
Oh, was
just,
it?
Yeah, just training. Yeah.
Were you digging a pond?
Yeah, we were digging a pond.
And I noticed, and that was when I first sort of really became aware of sort of jiu-jitsu and what it was, and he sort of told me about it. And then I'd always remembered it, and obviously I think with like the explosion of MMA, watching some MMA fights and stuff, and hearing Joe Rogan talk about jiu-jitsu and side control and the guillotine and stuff, and you'd go, sort of connected the two together. And it was, I think, how I've got here is purely because of my eldest son. Definitely. Right. Yeah. And we just felt that it would be really good for him. And it has been, and it's great. And I think we introduced Sam to it, and then obviously with two brothers, Sam's doing it. Wilfred was quite jealous. So he's getting, and so we brought them both along, and I sort of watched his classes and whatnot, and I just watched and thought, this looks really interesting. And I had a chat with obviously Triple T and Soaps and also Nathan and Nikki, and they were sort of here. So I was swayed a little bit by those guys as well, just to give it a go. And I thought, I did have doubts obviously about, I was like, and I think you both said, what you get guillotined and whatnot. And, you can just tap and, or don't get in that position, fundamentally, stay out of it. So I just, go for my trial class. I was still a little bit undecided, but I just thought, why not? Just make the leap, do something new that is going to benefit me really in so many different ways. And I've never done martial arts before. And you hear about the talk of what martial arts can bring to you individually, and centering you, and just like all these applicable different mental mindsets that you can bring to your daily life. So I just thought I'm gonna make the leap, give it a go, and
how's it been then? Not to, and don't kind of colour this in any way just because we're sat here, but how's that journey been then? So you've been with us for a few months?
Yeah, 2 months.
Feels like it's longer, doesn't it? Feels like we've known everyone for a long time.
It was end of May. I went for my trial class. And June,
so 2.5 months. Yeah, it's nothing really.
No, nearly 3 months. No, hold on. Check my card. I can't remember.
It feels to me like it's like 3 months or so.
Yeah.
But I think it feels a lot longer. So what's that been like?
It's been brilliant.
Have you enjoyed it?
I I'm totally hooked. Totally hooked.
And what gets you hooked on it? What is it? Because it's hard to
Again,
say, right?
It's a totally non-tangible thing. I think part of it is a non-tangible thing. I've said non-tangible quite a lot. It's new, and it's learning a new skill, and it's exercising my brain, and it's exercising my body in a way that I haven't used it before. And it's also, I think, teaching me to be, calm under pressure, which is, not the easiest thing with a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old sometimes. And it's teaching me to, it's teaching me to be a better person without a shadow of a doubt. And I'm trying as much as I can to be a better person, definitely. And it's also teaching me to look at my career right now and think, how can I apply this to singing, and how can I go back to fundamentals and get better and get more solid and just improve on everything that I've done so far. It's kind of been a big reset actually.
Do you get nervous for performances with Opera North? Or?
Yes.
I mean, because one of the things that I think jiu-jitsu really gives us is that calm under pressure piece of if we use jiu-jitsu as an analogy for life, when you're mounted or you've had your back taken, if you freak out, it never gets better. It always gets worse.
Yeah.
Nothing's as hard as that in life.
No.
Nowhere else in life is someone trying to strangle you. So if you're waiting to go out on stage and you feel that same sense of, damn, I don't know what to do, I'm in this position, those kind of experiences will definitely develop an ability to be able to just come down a little bit. Just go, you know what? I've been in worse places, man. Professor Mike has tried to strangle me.
He has.
I don't know if you find it, but I really like finding kind of the juxtapositions in things. So you mentioned the similarities you kind of bring into jiu-jitsu and the opera. Thought about it a bit throughout the podcast as well. But I really recently I went down in London and I went to the National Art Gallery. But then the same day I was rolling and fighting someone. And it was just it was kind of really contrasting things. It just it made each one of those things feel better because I could appreciate the calmness and the quiet of the National Gallery more because I'd been in hand-to-hand conflict with someone that day, trying to fight me. And I think similarly, I think those kind of experiences, I go on walks just out in nature, brings a peace into my jiu-jitsu as well.
Definitely.
Well, without that, life would be pretty flat, wouldn't it? You'd just be kind of going through life like this. But those kind of peaks of kind of intensity and whatever aspect really colour it.
To ultimate calm and to be able to, definitely.
I'm really pleased we've got an opera singer.
Before we start, we have to mention one of the most magical things the academy is Wilfred and Matilda's budding romance.
Well, I mean, I feel like I don't know if I feel embarrassed at times, but I'm
embarrassed.
Are you?
Yeah.
I love it though. It is so cute. But it's weird. They didn't met. So do you want to tell the story what we've got going on?
You go ahead, yeah.
We've got a romance going on between Wilfred and Matilda, who are both 4 years old.
Yeah, Wilfred's 4 years. Just 4.
And they'd never met before.
No.
And they met in the Tiny Champions class. And they are now inseparable. And literally, Matilda tells me that she misses Wilfred when he's not there. And then,
that's beautiful.
And then he's doing this to tell her to sit down next to him. And they just get on. It's so cool. It is lovely.
Yeah.
And it's nothing to do with jiu-jitsu. It's just they've just landed on the mat together. But it's just a really great thing. I suppose the one thing that is you're going to meet a lot of different people.
Yeah.
You must spend a lot of your time around creative, arty, muso types.
Yeah.
Which are great. Now you spend a lot of time around people who are very, very different to that. And that's good as well, right? You're going back to that dichotomy of rugby and singing again.
Yeah, but I think everyone's an adult now, and I'm as equally interested. Being interested in people is just great. And every individual has a story about what they're doing and how they're doing it and why they're doing it. And that's really enriching. and you can meet everybody. And it's also like you just take it on board, and it helps. Well, it just helps enrich your life. It helps me enrich me as a performer as well. And you think just through meeting new people, it's really cool. It's really cool.
Very nice.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on Wilfred and Matilda, and if they end up getting married in like 20 years or something.
Interestingly, so Alberto, Matilda's dad, has booked a free trial for himself.
Oh, has he?
Yes. So there you go. There's a few parents now, right? We did a
cool.
recent campaign.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it is nice. So, and there's nothing I can tell you from experience, nothing better than rolling with your son or daughter.
Yeah.
Play fighting's one thing, but actually rolling and seeing them do the techniques on you and exchanging that is very, very special. So hopefully you'll get a chance to do that with Sam.
So I think more Wilfred. Sam keeps telling me off. He's like, no jiu-jitsu, daddy, no. And Wilfred just like, So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, eventually.
Nice. Well, anything else from you, Professor?
No, just thank you for being part of this, mate. I think it's fascinating for me. I would love to talk more about it. Like just the idea of, for me, understanding a little bit more about the technical, what's going on in the voice is even interesting. Like I'd love to know more about that one day.
Yeah.
It's great to just meet someone who does something different. There's a couple of kids, friends of ours. One called Freddie, who's a friend of my eldest son, and then one called Finley, who's a friend of a really good friend, son of a really good friend of mine. Both are really good singers, and both are heading down the path of, they're in kind of cathedral choirs, and they're heading down that path. So I'm going to ask them to listen to this, because I think they'll really find it interesting listening to a professional. And you are very modest, may I say. If you've been in this career for 15 years employed, you're bloody good at what you do, and I don't care what you say. So there's no doubt about it that you are up there with the best around. And so thank you for spending the time speaking.
Oh, pleasure. Total pleasure. It's just really hard to sack me. I've got to sign a contract, you know.
got tenure now.
got tenure. No, it's a slightly joke, but we do have to maintain
tenure or tenor.
No, not a tenor. I'm not one of those. No, not the getting the money notes. No, that's not me.
Okay. Thank you very much for doing this, Nick. And you're more than welcome to come back on at any time. And we'll do part 2.
I'll just sit in the corner and like chat with whoever's on.
You can be the other host.
Yeah.
We'll invite you.
Hell yeah. Do it. Sure.
Awesome. Cheers,
Thanks,
guys.
Nick.
See you next time.
Cool.